answering your tough financial questions for the past 26 years. It's Allworth's Money Matters with co-hosts Scott Hanson and Pat McClain. Would you like an opinion on a financial matter you're dealing with? Whether it's about retirement, investments, taxes, or 401ks, Scott Hanson and Pat McClain would like to help you by answering your call. To join Allworth's Money Matters, call now at 833-99-WORTH. That's 833-99-WORTH.
Welcome to Allworth's Money Matters. I'm Scott Hanson.
I'm Pat McClain.
Thanks for being part of our program today. Both myself and my co-host here, we're both financial advisors, certified financial planner, chartered financial consultant. We meet with people like yourself during the week and broadcast our program on the weekends to be your financial advisors on the air. So whether you've got advisors you're working with now or doing things on your own or whatever the case may be, we are glad you are here and like to be your financial advisors on the air.
And I'm going to apologize a little bit for my voice. I have a bit of a cold, but hopefully it's not the coronavirus. So.
You shouldn't laugh, but
I know
it's like it's the latest thing, latest big scare. The world's going to stop spinning.
Yeah, but it's
the markets haven't reacted too much to it.
A little bit, but not
really.
Yeah, but who knows what the markets react to? Because the markets used to react to bad news in a negative manner.
It is amazing.
And now they don't.
The markets. I don't think the stock market goes down anymore.
Well,
that's what it looks like.
At the end of every day, or during the day, when you check the market, there's always a reason why. The media always gives a reason why it's either going up or down, right? So this week, in the middle of the day, the market was off 100 points. Well, it was the coronavirus. And then later in the day,
Trump impeachment.
It's up because the trade imbalance looks good. And I always think, did people sit in a room and just like, let's actually give it a reason?
You know how it works. A reporter sticks a microphone in front of somebody and asks for an excuse so they can have a soundbite to run the news. And the more outlandish the soundbite, the more likely it's going to run somewhere.
That's how it works.
I mean, you see headlines all the time. They tease you you got to open the story to get the story because the headline just teases you. And it's all about capturing your attention.
The one I hate.
Don't forget the media on their financial reporting that is not designed to help you to be a good investor.
That's right. And it provides very, very little information.
But if you think of it, here's what's interesting. Historically, the stock market, U.S. stock market, as measured by the broad indexes, loses money. It's positive 53% of all days.
Okay.
So historically, 47% of all trading days, the market has been negative. If you look when this January of 2020, it's like, I don't know the exact numbers, they're irrelevant.
Crazy.
Up and up and up.
Yes.
And if, as an investor,
do you get it? Someone said to me the other day, this is great, isn't it, Pat? And I said, not really. It's not all that great because it appears that we've gotten to a place where there doesn't seem to have much risk in it. And irrational exuberance is a scary thing.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Do you agree or not disagree?
Well, I think, there's talk like market melt up, right?
Okay.
There's just kind of this euphoria and the fear of missing out. But when you've got a market that increases so much faster than earnings, you're like, as an investor, right? I'm currently 53 years old. Whether I was 33, 53, 73, 93, I'd be more excited about the earnings of the companies that I own going up than I would about the price of it going up.
Yes.
For a long-term investor, you should be excited when the companies are earning more. So a growing economy to me is more exciting than a stock market increase.
That's right, because
In the long term, it's all going to work out.
Yeah, yes, correct. And the bigger the divergence between prices growing and earnings growing, the greater the
risk,
likelihood, or the probability of a decline in the market. So I have,
and the greater the risk. If you own a company that's trading at 10 times earnings, even if the stock price goes down, if the company continues to earn, you at least know in the next 10 years you're going to recoup your investment based on the earnings.
That's right. So my son Tom, he's 21. He's an econ major at UCLA. He's in his junior year. He's actually taking senior classes. He could graduate early, and so I had this conversation.
Is he going to graduate early from UCLA?
He was going to. He's actually just getting another major.
Okay. This is your child. Just clarifying.
It's his mother's child. He's not me. So he called me yesterday and he's like, "Dad, I'm funding my Roth IRA." I'm like, "Good for you."
With his own money?
Yeah, with his own money. I'm like, "Good for you." He said, "What do you think?" And he was talking about what he's going to buy. And he said, "Is this a good time or a bad time?" And I said, "I really wish I knew, Tom. I really wish I could tell you whether it was a great time to invest or a bad time to invest. But I know you're 21 and it's a Roth IRA.
And it's irrelevant.
And it's irrelevant, right?" I said, "Your time frame is 38 years. So whether it's a bad time to invest or a good time to invest, we don't know."
Oh, it's a good time.
It's always a good time.
If you're a long-term investor.
That's right.
And you're investing for the long term, anything that in other words, you're not going to need the money for 5+ years.
That's right. That's right.
Then it's a good time to invest. Think about those that bailed out in the financial crisis. Even those that bailed out just before the financial crisis, unless they somehow miraculously got back in.
Yeah, it didn't matter. I mean, so the point being is that you go back, the financial crisis was, what, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that long, does it? In my mind, it was 12 years ago. And if you look at stock prices today versus then, it's unbelievable.
Even back before the .com, if you look back 20 years.
Oh, my gosh.
The Dow had hit 10,000. It was a big deal. Now the Dow is almost 30,000, right? So,
yeah. So if you're a long-term investor, so we had the big conversation.
The challenge is, though,
when you see it on the statement.
Yes, when your $1 million becomes worth $750.
It's hard. I mean, that is hard. And so I said to him, "Well, listen, if you're worried about it, you don't have to go all in. Just put a plan in place as to when you're going to invest over the next 2 to 3 years with your $6,000.
Has he had one of those silly classes in college where they had the stock picking contest that's 2 months long? Those are the most. I don't know if those are helpful or not.
He did, and I said to him that it doesn't mean anything. He's like, "Well, no, it means a lot, Dad." And I'm like, "It doesn't mean anything because it's fake money, because you don't have an emotional attachment to your decisions.
So if it goes down, who cares?"
Yeah, and so he's like, "Well, no, we're competing." And then he calls me about his Roth contribution, where before he was playing with a fake $500,000.
Why don't you just invest it exactly like you had your stock portfolio in your class?
I think you realize.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Right. There's hypothetical, and there's real life.
And you know what's interesting? So, and we'll get to the calls here in a moment here at Allworth's Money Matters. And if you want to join us, by the way, our contact number is 833-99-WORTH. That'll get you on the program, 833-99-WORTH. But I think, Pat, one of the most challenging clients that we've worked with over the years. So Pat and I both been practicing advisors for almost 30 years now.
Yep.
Lots of, we've just...
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients.
Clients and people we've talked to via the show here as well. It's when somebody has saved their own money over the years, get to retirement, have had money in their 401k, have gone through the cycles, have bought some stock that someone recommended along the way or some mutual fund, had experienced some declines, some losses, some bad investment choices, all those things. They tend to get that they've been educated by their own experiences.
Yeah.
And they tend to be much better investors. I think some of the most challenging investors are those that come up with an inheritance.
Yes.
Or a lottery winning.
Yes. Or brand new investors, right? Brand new investors.
Yeah.
Which is they haven't been seasoned. right? They don't see risk, right?
I was helping a family friend this last summer. She was in late 20s, had saved up quite a bit just in cash. I was kind of amazed. Lives very frugally. And so we talked about long-term risk. So I helped her kind of figure out some Vanguard funds to invest in. It wasn't a huge amount, but it was a lot.
It was a lot to her.
Yeah, and it was actually quite a bit for someone in their 20s. And went through, looked at what's going to happen over the short term, run through all the same like I do with clients. Like, here's what you can expect in the portfolio. And if you remember back to last summer, we had some declines. And sure enough, I get a text from her like 6 weeks later. What my account's down. What do you think I should do?
Yeah, and the markets were down almost 20%.
But it was one of those things. It's like she's going through this education process, right? And it's a lot better to do it when you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s.
Did she stay with the strategy?
I believe she did.
And that was the hope, right? The only time you should ever change your investment strategy is when there's been a life change, not when there's been an emotional change in you.
Correct.
That's the only time you should change your investment strategy. Well, I shouldn't say it quite like that. Over a period of time, as you get older, you may want to become more conservative.
Maybe not.
But maybe not. Right? You may want to become more conservative, but you shouldn't willy-nilly change your investment strategy based on market conditions at any one point in time.
Totally agree. Okay, and let's take some calls. We are in Northern California talking with Bob. Bob, you're with Scott Hanson and Pat McClain, Allworth's Money Matters.
Hi, Scott and Pat. I'd like to thank you for your years of sound and sage advice done in a humorous style.
Well, thank you.
I've been listening to a few radio shows over the last maybe 25, 30 years, and my brain is swimming in aphorisms. Achieving critical mass.
Okay.
Don't be greedy. Take some chips off the table.
Uh-huh.
Money not going out is the same as money coming in.
That's me.
Work should be an option and not an obligation.
That's me.
That's Scott.
And I recognize the other ones too.
Critical mass.
You're a financial radio show junkie.
Yeah, Critical Mass is Bob Brinker, and
Yes.
who I listen. I've been listening to Bob
Is he
Brinker
still
for
on the
30 years.
show?
I don't know if he's still on the air, but I used to listen to him 30 years ago.
I think he might be.
So what is your?
I think he's.
Is he still around?
Yeah. I think he retired, actually.
Yeah. So
He was a bit of a market timer, and he got
didn't
got
actually
some
kind of-
wrong
he missed
calls,
he
yeah.
missed it.
Anyway.
You could be a market timer anytime you want. Just being successful is hard. So what's your question for us?
So my statement first, I would like to pay off my mortgage before I retire. The question, am I crazy? The answer is yes, I am crazy, but every situation is unique. My hope is that my large holding Apple stock doubles in 2 or 3 years, and I would pay off my mortgage and invest the other equity money into a more balanced portfolio.
How old are you?
I'm confused. Are you waiting for your Apple stock to double in the next 3 years, or you're stating this is?
I could actually make this happen now. I can sell my complete Apple stock,
Okay.
pay off the mortgage, and have a substantial sum in my 401k to live off. But I'm still working, and I'd like to at least work another 2 or 3 years in my position, and then maybe after that, maybe work once a week.
All right. And how old are you?
66 going on 67.
And what do you owe on
I'm
your
married.
mortgage? You're married.
I owe 1.35.
1.35 million.
Yes.
Okay. And what's your approximate family income?
I have a pension and Social Security of $11,000 per month. I am working in a half-time position twice a week, and I bring home $14,000 a month.
For
So
halftime.
$25,000 a month.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And what's the value of the home?
2.6.
All right. And so how much do you own in Apple stock?
My 401k is worth today $4.4 million. The Apple stock I began buying in 2005. I put in $6,000 by the tax lot. that is now worth about $400,000.
Okay.
My Apple stock is worth today $2.8 million.
And that's all outside of a retirement account?
That's in the 401k.
Your Apple stock is in the 401k. Part of the 4.4 million is the 2.8 million in Apple stock.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And then what other assets are there other than the 401k? I kind of missed that if you explained it.
Not too much. I have $200,000 in brokerage link.
Okay.
I'm not including my wife's money. She has a small IRA of $100,000, and brokerage and savings, it's about $200,000. But I won't include her money.
Got it. So this $200,000 in the brokerage link, is that part of the $4.4 million in the 401k?
No.
Okay. So that's for the rest of the listeners. When we talk about brokerage link, all that means is that he has an option in his company's 401k that allows him to self-direct money in his 401k. And that's what a brokerage link means. So many people have a menu that they have to choose from. Bob can actually take some of the money in his 401k and direct it anywhere he
But
wants.
I think he was referring, these are actually dollars outside of a retirement account.
The brokerage link
Correct.
isn't.
Well, but
Okay.
Bob said that is.
I actually, I have two brokerage links. One is in Vanguard. That's my non-401k money. And then I have a Fidelity 401k brokerage link
Got it.
with the Apple.
Yeah.
So how long have you owned this house?
I bought a house late, and our first house, I was 43. It was $400,000.
Yeah. So
Sold that in 10 years for $1 million.
Uh-huh.
We bought our dream home 2 blocks away. I was 53, so 13 years
Okay.
ago we've owned the house.
So the question is, should you pay off this $1.35 million house? So you've got about $5 million in assets from what you have told us, investable assets inside and outside of the 401ks and IRAs.
But not much outside of retirement
But
accounts.
there's not that much outside of retirement accounts. So
I mean, if you said, I'm paying off my house this year regardless, you would have to sell assets inside your retirement accounts, pull them out of that tax shell, and you'd be slaughtered with taxes.
correct. And as much as we like to actually have people pay off their houses when they retire, this is not a good idea for you to pay your mortgage off. It's a
And
bad
I realize
idea.
that I would have to liquidate Apple.
I'm not concerned.
we don't care.
That's irrelevant to me.
Yeah, what the asset is, it's the fact that it's in a tax shelter. And by the way,
Correct.
You're 67. I'm just guessing. You're calling from
Somewhere in Northern California.
somewhere in Northern California. Is this a big house?
No, it's 2,500 square feet.
All right. Okay, so it's something you could manage into retirement. You can stay there forever. It's not a 10,000 square foot house.
And you're still
Correct.
employed by Apple?
No, I was in the medical field.
Okay. So how do you have Apple shares inside your 401k?
With my company, Fidelity 401k, we had an option to have a brokerage link.
Okay, now I'm
okay,
getting
that
all
makes
right,
sense.
all
That
right,
makes
all right.
sense. Okay, so our recommendation is not to even. And what's the interest rate on this mortgage?
That's the problem. We bought more house than we could afford. So I've been in an interest-only mortgage ever since I've had this house.
And is it a variable rate?
It's been between like a 7-year fix now. I'm in a new one, 5-year fixed.
Okay,
It's now
Have you looked at-
3.375.
it's what? What is the number?
It's cheap.
Yeah, so I would refinance this into a 30-year fixed rate mortgage right now, and I wouldn't pay an extra penny on it, and you're going to die with a mortgage on your house.
And I thought of that, but I think my wife and I, psychologically, emotionally, we like to pay the house off completely.
Good for you.
So it will take you more than $2 million out of your retirement
Correct.
account to net 1.3.
Yes.
So
It would take 2.7.
if you did it all in 1 year.
Yes.
Is that what you're considering?
Yes.
Well, that would be.
Here's another way to
If the
think
Apple-
about this. Let's just
Yeah.
And so I would agree that you have too high a percentage of your portfolio in one stock. I don't care what stock it is, right? So It's just you've got a high concentration. It's served you very well, no question about it.
And if you're thinking it's going to double again, I hope it does for you. But the likelihood of it doubling again, the more it doubles, the faster it grows, the lower the probability that it will continue that same growth rate. That's just
And diversification is all about risk reduction, not about increasing your return. So you're at a stage in your life. So if you want to, let's say that you're like, I really like the concept of using my Apple stock to pay off the mortgage. Totally get it. One way to consider doing this is, let's say that you just sold a chunk today, parked it in a short-term bond fund or something like that, and paid off the mortgage over the next 5 years
or 7 years or 10 years even.
And have the check even come once a month to make that mortgage payment.
Or go directly to the mortgage company. It doesn't even actually have to go through your account, if you will.
So you've just basically, because the challenge you've got now, you've got this debt that is due regardless. Regardless of what happens in your financial life, regardless of what happens in the stock market, the mortgage company wants their $1.3 million. Or if they don't get it, they're going to take your house. And you've got roughly $5 million set aside, almost entirely inside tax-sheltered retirement accounts. But if we took $1.3 million, or maybe a little more than that to account for our taxes, and put it in a risk equivalent, we're not in the stock market, we're in something very equivalent. Now we've just reduced the risk. Now if the stock market tanks, the economy tanks, you're okay because you still have those assets. And we can get the mortgage paid off over a number of years with minimizing our taxes, because you do it all in 1 year. I mean, now you're at the top tax rate.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is match maturities here and take it out in the most efficient manner possible. So Scott went through a risk mitigation strategy with you right there and a tax strategy, right? So if you said today, I'm just going to take out all that money to pay off this home, you're going to take out, as you're right, if you did it one year, you're going to have to take out about $2.7 million.
All you got to do is run the numbers.
And if you feel so good about how the government is actually using your money that you want to have more of it,
then do it all
in 1 year. If you say, man, I love what these guys are doing. They have done a great job with the homeless thing. I want to pay that extra 1% because my income's over $1 million, like the fat cats. Do it all in 1 year. If you say, I don't think they're doing such a great job, what you want to do is
regardless. So
maturity. But Scott, here's what I would do. I'd refinance into I like your idea. I'd refinance into a 15-year fixed rate or 30-year fixed rate, and then I would actually put that money aside, and I'd have it shelled out over.
And you wouldn't. And you at this in your situation, I don't think would recommend paying it off. If you really want to pay it off, I'd do it. What I would do is run the numbers. What's the tax consequences doing it in 2020 alone? What's the consequences of spreading over 2 years, over 3 years, over 4 years? And I think when you start seeing the numbers and what it means for the tax savings, when we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're going to be like, heck, I'll just sell my Apple stock, put the money in CDs. I know it's fully insured and guaranteed, and I'll save hundreds of thousands of dollars by spreading this out over the next few years.
And the reality is, your pension and your Social Security is $11,000 a month. Your variable income is $14,000 a month. So you're living on $25,000 a month. That $14,000 a month isn't going to last forever, because that's your variable. Right?
Yeah, I plan to retire again in about 2 or 3 years, and then after that, maybe work once a week.
Okay, so Bob, if you were my older brother, I'd say, listen, put a 30-year fixed rate mortgage so you know the outcome. Take the money out, never pay the mortgage off.
Make a separate IRA with maybe $1.5 million in it, whatever it takes to have this mortgage paid out. Have that make the payment for you, and match risk on it. So we've got really safe money there.
Yeah. And then, you're going to, when you and your wife die, if you die anytime between now and your age 96, the kids are going to inherit a big old house with some debt on it, and good for them, right?
Yeah, if we had kids, yeah.
Oh,
right.
Well, even better. Well, yeah. I don't know if that's even, I say that right.
There are days.
I have 4 kids myself, so fortunately they don't listen to the show.
Even better.
Even better. So if you don't have children, heck, what do you care that it's paid off? Get a reverse mortgage.
And I thought of that too. My only reticence about a 30-year fixed would be my current mortgage is $3,800 per month, and with a fixed it would be over $6,000. So extra $2,000 plus per month.
You're looking, but the challenge here, Bob, you are looking at two exact opposite ends of the spectrum here.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not comparing apples to apples here.
That's right.
So
our recommendation:
if you want the most secure retirement to end up with the most amount of net worth down the road, the strategy that we talked about of taking some money off, sell some stock, set aside a separate IRA, have that make your mortgage payment, refinance for the 30 years, that's going to give you the highest probability of success down the road and the greatest amount of net worth. You take a bunch of money out to pay off that mortgage today, and you're going to get clobbered in taxes. That's just reality. So
appreciate the call.
Unfortunately, we got to take a quick break here, Bob. I definitely appreciate the call. We will continue back here, and we've got a couple lines open. Love to take your call. 833-99-WORTH is our contact number, 833-99-WORTH. This is Allworth's Money Matters.
Can't get enough of Allworth's Money Matters? Visit allworthfinancial.com/radio to listen to the Money Matters podcast.
Welcome back to Allworth's Money Matters. Scott Hansen.
Pat McClain. And we took the last call. The gentleman, very nice man, big mortgage, 67 years of age. Lots of Apple
we just took
stock.
the call.
I understand, but off the air, you and I were commenting that for Apple
the larger something gets, the more challenging it is for that to double again.
That's right. Because there's only
3 companies now that just passed the $1 trillion mark. Is that right? Market value.
Yes.
Apple's 1.
Yeah. And so, what's the chance of Apple getting to $2 trillion? The market cap. So when we talk about market capitalization, it's the share price times the number of outstanding shares determine what the market capitalization is. So it gets to $1 trillion. How many more people in the world are going to buy Apple products that they can manufacture on a profitable basis that the company gets to a $2 trillion market cap? I don't know. All I know is, when people say they've doubled their profit, always the first question I ask, where did you start? Because I had a lemonade stand when I was in the 6th grade, and I doubled my profits in the second day. I went from $5 in profit to 10.
I know. Fastest growing company.
I was the best, whatever that means, right?
800% increase year over year.
I went to $40 in sales, in profit. What does that mean?
And once you have lemonade stands,
everywhere.
Like Starbucks is probably a good example as we're talking about this, right?
Yeah.
So there comes a point when there's only so many consumers.
I went to a Starbucks that had a Starbucks store in the Starbucks. Because they had ran out of places to put the Starbucks stores. So they actually put a Starbucks
we got to
store
go back to call.
in the Starbucks.
That's funny, actually. All right.
Although, just for fun, I've gone into Starbucks with my kids because I'm, dad jokes. And I went up to the lady and I said, this is a really interesting concept. If you guys thought of putting more of these around the country.
I realized the other day they've simplified the menu, what they have up on the wall, because they assume that as a consumer, you already know everything you can get there. Oh. And they only had like the medium size, whatever that is. I don't forget which size was which, but
well, they use words like grande, and I'm like, I'd like the large.
Yeah. Well, being a little guy,
everything's big.
Small's tall, so I feel pretty good.
I haven't been into a Starbucks.
All right, we need to go to the call. 833-99-WORTH. You're kidding me?
No.
I have got their app, and sometimes I order food, and I go pick it up. It's great.
I have
no time for breakfast.
I can't remember the last time I've been in a Starbucks.
Really? Anyway, all right, we're going to go back to the calls here.
Well, I've got it.
All right,
I've got to hit one. Do you know where one is located?
Just close your eyes and throw a stone.
It's
not going to matter. Even you could be in the desert, and there's going to be one close by.
I'm dying of thirst. I'd like a hot coffee.
I need a frappuccino.
Oh, this is just stupid now.
Okay.
Oh, let's go to the
calls.
calls.
All right, poor Nick here. All right, Nick's been waiting forever. Nick, you're with Allworth's Money Matters. Scott Hansen and Pat McClain here with you. Thanks for holding.
Hey, Scott. Hey, Pat. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
Hope you're getting ready for the Roaring 20s. It's going to be exciting.
Oh, well, we'll see, huh? What can we do for
Today
you?
is good. I like today.
Okay.
All the best. Hey, here's my question. We moved from El Dorado Hills, California, up to Anderson Island, Washington, in 2018. We love it up here. It's just perfect. In 2019, we purchased the home, and we renovated extensively in the home. We put in all hardwood floors, kitchen, bathrooms, the roof, the gutters, all this other stuff. We spent about $100,000 on the renovation. And my question is, guys, can we write any of that off? And if so, how and what form?
So you're not operating a business out of your home, correct?
No.
So
No.
this is just your private personal residence, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Paid
no.
for.
The answer is no.
So
You can add it to your basis, your cost basis on the home, which may or may not mean anything to you.
when you sell your home in the future.
Or when you die, which in that case it means
Oh.
nothing because it receives a.
So the only time you could write off something on something a personal residence is your interest on a mortgage that you would have. So if you borrowed
Okay.
money, then you could deduct that interest if you itemize your deductions,
which is probably unlikely that you itemize your deductions.
given the current high standard
Yeah.
deductions.
Okay.
But the good thing
Okay.
about living in the state of Washington is these recent tax changes that allow you to deduct your state income that stopped allowing you to deduct your
Oh, I
state
know.
income tax against your federal.
Washington, there's no
state income tax.
Yeah, there's no state income tax at all.
Yeah.
But the sales tax is very, very high. It's
Well, go to
11%.
Yeah, you just got to
How much are your sales tax?
11%.
Well,
that
just
is high.
you go to Canada or Portland.
Can't smuggle the goods across the street.
Well, we go shopping down in Portland.
That's
because we're
right.
So close.
That's right. That's
Yep.
right. And the state income tax is much lower in Oregon than it is in Washington.
Correct.
Sales
Yeah.
tax.
Correct.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But
sales
it's no
tax.
sales tax, right? Or is
Yeah,
it a
they've
low
got to make their money somehow. So
Yeah, I
the sales
know.
There's
tax
low
is high.
sales. So, but the answer to your question is no, you can't. You can't. deduct
Nothing
it.
at all,
No.
except for the basis points you were talking about, or the value if I ever decide to sell it.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, the $100,000 you put in is an investment. So if you paid $300,000 for the home and put another $100,000 in improvements, then you've got $400,000 into the house.
For certain improvements, we don't know exactly what you did. So anyway,
Understood.
appreciate the call.
Okay.
Yeah, glad
Yeah,
you
very
called.
good.
Thank
Thanks,
you, sir.
guys. Keep going.
All right, appreciate it.
We will keep going. We've been doing this for a long time, and we will continue.
25 plus years, and Scott and I both live in El Dorado Hills, where Nick moved from to
Yeah.
the state of Washington. Sorry to see you leave there, Nick. Like we're friends. I've never met the man.
All right, let's continue on. To join the program, 833-99-WORTH. We are in Roseville, California, talking with Dave. Dave, you're with Scott Hansen and Pat McLean, all Worth's Money Matters.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for taking the call.
Thank you.
Yes, I've been watching this for a while, and I just one of the issues that I feel the market continues to go up is that I think because of new technology, internet, all that, the individual investor can now get online and do whatever they want for a few $100s to a few $1,000s to a few $100,000.
Uh-huh.
There's a group like Online Trading that advertises a lot on KFBK. Tom Sullivan is a big promoter.
That's
There's
really
also-
strange, I think, by the way. Anyway, I'm not going to, that's all I'm going to comment on it.
Why do you think it's strange?
Well, that's all he said. Scott just said it's strange, and because we run on that station, and we are friends, both of us.
Well, because
with-
if you study market timing, first of all,
Yeah.
no one's been able to do it successfully. And then if you look at options trading, individual investors lose in the long term. Every study shows that.
I
But-
see.
Because options trading is well, anyway, ask your question.
Well,
Okay.
that is my question.
So
I don't
here's
know.
what's your question?
I think that may be one of the reasons the market continues to go up because
oh,
So what is your? Do you
So-
have what's your question? For
is that a state? That what you made was a statement. Do you have a question?
the question: do you feel the same way? You think
No.
the individual investor? No, and why?
Well, because information doesn't actually make someone better unless they're able to digest it and use it. Does it?
I mean, we
does it
so-
drive the market? Sure.
But if you look at the last 20 years, we had two of the biggest stock market declines since the Great Depression
Right.
in the internet age when they were online trading. So it certainly didn't stop markets from going down.
But maybe it did cause it to go up. I don't think so. I think it's just
I mean,
sentiment.
if you look at fund flows, you look at where individual investors, because you can track some of those things by by ETF purchases, by mutual funds, you can see individual investors versus retail money, and institutional investors versus retail, and you can see that the individual investor, oftentimes makes poor choices. So when the markets go down, rather than buying more, they sell. When the markets go up, they buy instead of. So
the answer is we don't think that's a big driver. More access to actually invest money isn't a huge, in my opinion, a big driver. Now, let's talk about options trading.
Well, what's your question for us?
He asked the question. Do we think?
You've answered part
Got
of
it.
My next question would be, I take it you don't care for online trading type organizations that do it. And in my mind, they don't only do options; they do stocks as well and other things. But I take it you don't feel that's a viable way to go.
I don't think trading in general is healthy for an investment strategy. The studies show that the more transactions anyone has, whether they're an individual or an institutional investor, a professional money manager, the more transactions, the lower the return.
So I'm going to share a personal story with you. So I have 4 children, and my 2 oldest boys, when they were in college, took their own money and opened up accounts in firms that they started day trading in. And they would call me and ask me questions like, Dad, what do you think? And I said, well, I'm glad you're doing it. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because I'm glad you're getting the education at this early age with your own money, because you'll realize you can't do it successfully. My nephews, many of their friends have all done the same thing. They all went through a period of 6 months to 12 months where they traded. And every one of them thought that access to information was actually going to make them money. And every one of them stopped doing it within 6 to 12 months.
We all have the same access to information.
We all do. We all do. And the reality is no one over the short term will actually be able to buy things that consistently win. They will talk about, it's like fishing. People talk about when they go fishing, they talk about how many big fish they caught. They don't tell you how many hours it took to do it. So
what are you trying to accomplish here,
Option
Dave?
trading is just day trading amplified. That's all it is. Because you're buying options on stocks either to go up and or down. So if it's part of your overall strategy for your retirement planning,
here's one way to look at things. So over the last number of years, there's been a movement away from actively managed mutual funds, particularly stock mutual funds, to index funds, like the S&P 500 fund. We're at a point now that more than 50% of retail assets, these are individual assets, of the money that's in funds and ETFs are in index. And why? Because investors look at it and they say, wait a minute, these actively managed mutual funds, these guys and gals that are on every day trying to pick which stocks to buy, which stocks to sell, they do worse than just the overall market. Matter of fact, about 80% of them do worse. So we've seen this big shift from investors saying, you know what? Why pay these guys and these gals? They're not making me. They're doing worse than if I just bought the overall market. So on the one hand, we get this big movement to indexes. On the other side, we see firms out there saying, hey, we're going to teach you how to trade stocks. And I scratch my head. I'm thinking, wait, we've got guys and gals graduating from University of Chicago, from Wharton, from Harvard, these MBAs running these portfolios with teams of analysts, the brightest kids out of business school. They can't outperform the market. How is some firm going to be able to teach somebody over a weekend course or a couple hours a week how to beat those guys and gals? It makes just
think about it that way.
That's all you got to do.
So you're Joe Lunchbucket. You show up at the Holiday Inn for a 4-hour course and you're going to beat the market?
I could take violin lesson. I could go to a weekend course on how to play the violin.
But that doesn't make you...
I'm not going to do... How well am I going to do if I show up and try to play in an orchestra?
Yeah. So, anyway, appreciate the call.
And that's what... Whenever I hear those ads, Pat, I cringe to myself when they find someone to... They're not trading companies because they're not under the purview of the Securities and Exchange Commission, because otherwise they couldn't use testimonials.
They say, it's your money, we teach you how.
I scratch my head. I'm like, how in the world are they going to actually make money doing that?
Well, who's going to make money doing that?
The training company's going to make money doing that.
Of course they are.
They're selling training.
Yes.
They're selling hope. They're selling
Dreams.
yes, that's what they sell.
You stay at
Yes.
home.
Yes, you don't have to quit your job. Just it's simple.
Yeah.
All you got to do is a
Day
couple trades.
trader.
How easy is it?
Yeah. It's just,
Come on, it's
come
simple.
On, like, click, click. You're rich.
And what I said I wasn't going to. There's a talk show host that was a financial advisor at one point in time that is now a paid endorser, and it's
Yeah, did you blame him?
yes.
Okay.
Pat, there's many things I would not endorse.
All right.
I would not endorse. There's many things in life I would not endorse. I don't care how much they'd pay me. I'm not going to endorse it.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, there's
I don't blame the guy. Just me.
you wouldn't endorse it.
No, I know, but I'm not him. I actually like him.
Okay.
I would call him a friend.
Okay. All right, let's go back to the calls here. 833-99-WORTH will get you on All Worth's Money Matters. And we are in Southern California talking with Fernando. Fernando, you're with Scott Hansen and Pat McClain, All Worth's Money Matters.
Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
We're good.
What can we do for you, my
Hey.
friend?
Thank you. I love you guys. Love hearing all your info, and I'm just getting into hearing all this financial stuff. I'm fairly new. I need to learn a lot of terms still in the investment area. But I had
I appreciate that. You know what, Fernando? Here's the thing. We all started with no knowledge, right? And we here in the show, we try to use English as much as possible because all these financial terms, but sometimes there's and when as you stated, I'm trying to learn these terms, it just reminded me that we just really need to break these things down because it's a foreign language until you
Yeah,
to
I
understand it.
always think it to myself is if I was saying this, would my mother understand what I was talking about? That's anyway. So, what's your question for us?
Yeah, I have a question. So I've been saving up. I've been wanting to buy a muscle car, a 1970 Chevelle, and it's in the price range of $35,000.
Mhm.
So I have currently $5,000 saved up, but I just have it sitting there in a separate checking account.
Uh-huh.
And then once I started hearing all these ways to save up money and make your money grow while it's just sitting there, what options do I have out there with either my bank or
Okay. So I'm gonna.
This is a good concept. Whether we're talking about $5,000 to buy a muscle car, or $500,000 for something else. These are truths about investing and money.
So when do you think you're going to have the money together to buy the 1975 Chevelle?
in probably 6 years.
Okay.
See, I bank with Schools First here in Orange County, so they have a pretty good rate, which is not much for it would technically be a used rate card that they would lock me in for. It's at 2.7, but I just don't. I'm not in a hurry. I can
let's
just take my time.
Okay, So there's two things. One, I like the idea that it's going to take you 6 years because in 6 years from now you may not want a 1975 Chevelle. You might change. Your mind may change. There might be other things that become more important. But what you're asking us is a question, which is, if I'm saving money that I'm going to need in 4, 5, 6 years, where do I save it?
Yeah. So investments are based on one of the truths. It's based on time horizon, which is essentially when will I need these dollars, and the shorter the time frame, the less we can afford to take on anything that's going to go up and down in value, right? So let's assume you've got $30,000 saved up. You need one more year of savings, another $5,000. You're going to buy that Chevelle, and let's assume you're invested in the stock market because you heard that it's a good place to invest long term, and suddenly your $30,000 falls to $20,000. You'd be like, son of a gun! I wanted this Chevelle, now I can't afford it because I invested in stocks. If you say, I'm going to buy something in 10, 20 years from now, then we could say, who cares about the short-term fluctuations? We have extremely high probability of great returns if we invest in, say, the broad stock market over a 20-year period of time. But when we're talking about 4, 5, 5 years is kind of, you're 6 years, so.
But I would put it in, I would go to bankrate.com.
Or the credit union.
What did you say they're paying you? The credit union?
2.7. That's probably a teaser rate for your first.
Mine is Schools First Federal Credit Union.
What's the interest rate they're paying?
For a used, I would be having a 2.7.
Oh no, you're talking about borrowing the money.
Yeah, if I were to get a 5-year loan.
Yeah. Don't borrow any money to buy this car. This car is an absolute luxury, right?
Well, it might be an investment.
Come on, Scott.
I mean, although I think last year collectible cars declined a bit in value. They didn't have a good year last year, and high-end wines declined.
And if it was an investment, Fernando isn't of that net worth to probably be investing as
trading
automobiles.
collectible cars.
Yeah. He's not going to the auctions that you see on public television and buying cars. So, Fernando, absolutely don't borrow any money to buy this car. Right? It is a luxury. It is a luxury. Save the money to buy the car, and when you have enough saved, then decide whether you really want to exchange that money for this car. Like I said, 4, 5, 6 years, your mind may change. So what I want you to do is go to bankrate.com, and on bankrate.com, they will give you a list of online banks that have either bank CDs or money market accounts. Just take the highest one that is FDIC insured and buy that. And it might be Synchrony Bank, or it may be.
But you want something you can throw money into every month, though, too. Because are you saving on a monthly basis, or how are you saving?
Every month I'm putting away $300.
Okay. Are you putting money into your 401k?
Yeah.
Are you putting the maximum?
I have a 403b.
Okay. All right.
So I'm putting I think the most of they're matching I could put is $100.
Doesn't sound right to me.
How much are you saving in your retirement?
$100 every check.
That's not enough.
And how old are you?
I am 30.
Yeah. Listen, I think in my opinion, you called and asked our opinion. I hope you get over this idea of owning a 1975 Chevelle.
I think it was 1970 Chevelle.
Was it a 70 or 75 Chevelle? Because that will make a big difference.
70. Yeah.
Okay.
70.
So I truly hope you get over this.
Well, unless are you doing anything right now to enhance your career? Do you think your pay will be much higher in 5 years from now than it is today?
Yeah. Well, I work for a school district, so every year I still have 5 more years to get to my last stipend. So right now I'm at the bottom. So every year I'm gonna keep going up in my salary.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, anyway, my recommendation would be to save more into your 403b. But the question you called about was, what do you do for savings for this car? Just go to bankrate.com and get the highest earning account you can find.
Yeah.
So,
and
good luck to you.
But if you don't have save for retirement, this could be your retirement home at the same time. So
that's right.
Yeah, I mean retirement. You know, as he mentioned, there's most private sector jobs. Your pay is really tied to the value you bring to your employer, right?
You would hope.
And you could see people who've been there a long time that their pay really hasn't changed because their career they haven't increased
in private sector. And you've seen other people that have had tremendous increases because they've continued to work on their career and add more value. And when I feel like I'm getting a little political, I don't want to get too political, but in some public sector jobs, it's just I
just remember my kids. The teacher was voted teacher of the year one year and got laid off the next year because it was based on seniority.
Oh, really?
Yep, teacher of the year.
It's kind of sad. It's
more than sad.
Actually,
it's.
So my youngest son has a job. He goes to school in college, and we said, you got to get a job. So he told me. I heard the story from my wife yesterday. So he works in the office that if you're in a dorm room and you run out of something like toilet paper or tissues or towels, or you need to borrow the vacuum to clean your dorm, you come to his little office and you show him your room, or if you get locked out, and he helps you, which is, by the way, he says it's a great job because no one really ever comes, so he studies all the time. But he said, yesterday they've run out of toilet paper in where he distributes the toilet paper to the people that need the toilet paper.
Is part of his job is to making sure there's enough supplies?
No. So that's what happened.
That's someone else's job.
So he
So he
said
has no control over the inventory.
none. So
Just the distribution at the last mile.
correct. So yesterday he ran out of toilet paper to give to other people when they come in. And so my wife says, well, what did you tell them? I mean, that's kind of important. He said, well, I told him to come back an hour. And my wife said, why an hour? Did you notify anyone that you're out of toilet paper? And he said, no, but I get off in a half an hour, so it's fine.
This isn't the kid at UCLA.
But I thought that was so funny. He said,
This is the one that wants to retire at 35. Is that right? I think life is pretty interesting because
he's a really smart kid, but I just thought, wow, that's a unique way to handle the problem. Just don't notify anyone. He said, well, they know they're out of toilet paper. What do you want me to do about it? I'm like, okay.
so that's solved his problem. So a problem occurred at work, and instead of looking at what's the consumer need, what does the client here need?
He's like,
How do I make my life more simple? So
I just tell everyone to come back in an hour, and I get off in a half an hour.
But the poor guy who's
Oh, anyway.
All right, we're almost
thought
out of
that was
time here.
funny.
Hey, wanted to let if you're planning on retiring in the next few years, or if you want to be in a position so that you can retire in the next few years, we want to encourage you to come to one of our workshops. We've got some great retirement workshops this coming week. And Tuesday, we are in in the Sacramento region. Tuesday through Saturday, we're Sacramento, Auburn, Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova, Roseville. And in the Denver region, Tuesday through Saturday, Boulder, Denver Tech, Lakewood, Highlands Ranch, Broomfield. We are all over the place. During the week, it's 6:45 in the evening. On the weekends, 11:15 in the morning. And if you haven't attended one of our retirement workshops, this goes to the 7 things that you need to consider as you're approaching retirement. Simply go to allworthfinancial.com, register. They do fill up. And last year, we turned a lot of people away. So if you want to attend, we'd love to see you there. allworthfinancial.com. You get all the details, and you can sign up there. We're out of time. It's been great being with you this weekend. We'll see you next week. This has been Allworth Money Matters.
This program has been brought to you by Allworth Financial, a registered investment advisory firm. Any ideas presented during this program are not intended to provide specific financial advice. You should consult your own financial advisor, tax consultant, or estate planning attorney to conduct your own due diligence.